Have you ever met someone who's been through hell, but came back stronger, calmer, and wiser? The kind of person who doesn't talk much about their pain, yet their silence feels powerful. They didn't need saving. They became their own cure. This video is about those people, the warriors who heal themselves alone. When life crushes you, when no one shows up, and when everything you thought you needed is gone, some people rise from that. They don't run from pain, they walk through it, barefoot, bleeding, and unbroken. And it changes them forever. They don't look for sympathy, they look for strength. Let's dive into the psychology of those rare souls who rebuild themselves from the ruins. There comes a moment in life when the noise fades, the people disappear, and all you're left with is yourself. It's the moment when you finally understand that no one can rescue you, no one can fix what's broken inside, and strangely, that's where your real healing begins. When you've been shattered by life, it's easy to think you need someone to pull you out of the darkness. But those who truly heal learn something profound. The person you've been waiting for is already within you. They stop looking outward for a savior and start searching inward for strength. That shift in perspective from dependence to self-reliance is what separates those who stay lost from those who rise again. When the world walks away, there's a terrifying silence that follows. It's in that silence that most people crumble, but the ones who heal alone listen closely. They begin to hear things they've never heard before. The truth about their pain, the patterns that keep repeating, the wounds they've been ignoring. Instead of numbing themselves with distractions, they face their reality head on. It's brutal, it's raw, but it's also the beginning of transformation. They realize that pain is not an enemy to escape from, it's a messenger. Every tear, every sleepless night, every ache in the chest carries a lesson. Healing starts when they stop asking, why me? And start asking, what is this trying to teach me? In this process, they confront their fears, the fear of being alone, of being forgotten, of never feeling whole again. They sit with their thoughts, even the darkest ones, and let them surface. The truth is, most people never heal because they keep running. They jump from one distraction to another, from one person to another, hoping someone will make the pain disappear. But those who heal themselves alone refuse to run anymore. They understand that the only way out is through. They let the pain wash over them, break them, and rebuild them from the inside out. Every moment they spend in solitude strengthens their spirit a little more. There's something sacred about facing your pain without witnesses. No one sees your tears, no one applauds your strength, and no one understands the silent battles you're fighting, but you keep going anyway. That's what makes this kind of healing so powerful. You learn to validate your own emotions instead of waiting for someone else to understand them. You start to trust yourself again. Slowly you begin to rebuild, not because someone encouraged you, but because you chose to. That decision, that choice to keep standing even when no one is watching, becomes your foundation. As you go deeper into this journey, you start to develop a quiet awareness. You begin to see patterns in your thoughts, behaviors, and reactions. You realize how much of your pain came from ignoring your own needs, from giving too much, from expecting others to fill the emptiness you were meant to fill yourself. Healing alone forces you to take responsibility for your own happiness. You stop blaming the world, and that's when real power begins to grow. You understand that no one owes you understanding, love, or closure. You owe it to yourself to give those things to your own heart. The road is lonely, but it's also liberating. You discover a sense of peace that doesn't depend on anyone's presence or absence. You begin to see beauty in solitude, strength in silence, and purpose in pain. It's a rebirth, one that happens quietly, far from the spotlight. When you emerge from that darkness, you're no longer the same person who entered it. You've learned to stand without support, to breathe without permission, and to heal without help. You carry scars, yes, but they don't define you anymore. They remind you that you fought, that you endured, and that you won. Healing alone doesn't make you cold, it makes you clear. It strips away illusions, dependencies, and fears, leaving behind something pure and unbreakable. It's not an easy path, but it's the most honest one. Because when you've learned to be your own healer, the world can no longer take that power from you. You become your own safe place, and that's where true freedom begins. People who heal alone develop a powerful understanding of their emotions, not by suppressing them, but by learning to live with them. Most people are terrified of their own feelings. They run from sadness, avoid anger, and hide from fear. But those who truly heal alone do something different. They face their emotions head on. They don't fight their tears or silence their pain. They allow themselves to feel everything fully, every ache, every memory, every wave of emotion. Because they know that the only way to truly move past pain is to move through it. Healing doesn't come from pretending to be strong, it comes from having the courage to fall apart and rebuild. When you start healing yourself, you realize how much strength it takes to simply feel. You begin to understand that emotions aren't signs of weakness, they're signals from your soul. Anger shows you where your boundaries were crossed. Sadness reminds you of what you valued and lost. Fear points to where you still need faith. The people who heal alone don't try to silence these emotions. They study them. They sit quietly with their sadness and ask what it's trying to teach. They confront their anger instead of letting it destroy them. They learn that emotional pain is not something to be fixed overnight, but something to be understood deeply. This emotional intelligence becomes their armor. The process isn't pretty. There are nights of uncontrollable tears, mornings when you wake up empty, and days when everything feels meaningless. But those who walk this path realize something powerful. Emotions, no matter how intense, always pass. They move like storms, chaotic, loud, but temporary. Once you understand that, you stop fearing them. You stop fighting what you feel and start allowing it to flow through you. That acceptance is what transforms pain into power. Instead of drowning in emotions, you learn to surf their waves. That's where real control is born, not in resistance, but in awareness. As people heal themselves, they stop labeling emotions as good or bad. Happiness and sorrow both have their place in the journey. The joy teaches gratitude, the pain teaches depth. When you learn to embrace both, you evolve beyond the superficial idea of happiness. You begin to seek peace instead. The calm acceptance of life as it is. This is the difference between people who only survive and people who truly heal. Survivors escape pain, healers transform it. They use their emotions as tools, not weapons. Every tear becomes a cleansing. Every moment of loneliness becomes a lesson in strength. Every heartbreak becomes a doorway to wisdom. Over time, they develop a deeper self-awareness that others can't easily understand. They start noticing emotional patterns, the triggers, the responses, the old wounds that still control behavior. And instead of reacting blindly, they pause. They take a breath. They reflect. This awareness allows them to rewrite their emotional story. They stop letting pain define their identity. They begin to say, yes, I've been hurt, but that's not who I am. Their past no longer controls them because they've faced it, felt it, and learned from it. What makes their healing so profound is that they don't rush the process. They understand that emotions take time to unravel, that wounds need space to breathe. They give themselves patience, compassion, and forgiveness. Things the world often forgets to give. They stop expecting to get over it and instead focus on growing through it. This is what makes them unshakable. They no longer fear breakdowns because they've survived their own. They no longer fear vulnerability because they've learned that honesty with yourself is the foundation of strength. In the end, people who heal alone don't become emotionless. They become emotionally wise. They've learned that the goal of healing isn't to erase pain, but to make peace with it. They no longer run from sadness, they honor it. They no longer hide their feelings, they manage them with grace. Their calmness isn't apathy, it's mastery. They have walked through emotional chaos and emerged on the other side with a deeper, steadier heart. They don't just survive their emotions, they understand them, respect them, and use them as the fire that forges their inner peace. There comes a stage in the healing journey when solitude stops feeling like punishment and starts feeling like power. For those who heal themselves alone, being alone isn't about isolation, it's about discovery. They begin to realize that solitude is not emptiness, it's space. Space to think, to breathe, to feel, and to rebuild without the noise of the world. Most people run from silence because silence forces them to face who they truly are. But the ones who choose to heal alone walk straight into that silence. and learn to make peace with it. They understand that healing requires stillness, not the kind of stillness that comes from being stuck, but the kind that comes from being fully present with yourself. In solitude, you start to see yourself clearly for the first time. Away from the opinions, expectations, and judgments of others, you begin to rediscover who you really are beneath all the layers. You notice what you actually want, what you genuinely value, and what kind of energy you want around you. People who heal alone often realize how much of their pain came from living for others, trying to please, trying to belong, trying to be enough. Solitude strips all that away. It's in that emptiness that they finally meet the most honest version of themselves. Raw, vulnerable, but real. They begin to build a relationship with that person, the one they used to abandon for the sake of acceptance. The beauty of solitude is that it strengthens your spirit in ways nothing else can. When you learn to be comfortable in your own company, the world loses its control over you. You no longer need validation to feel valuable, and you no longer chase attention to feel seen. The silence becomes your teacher. You start to enjoy your own presence, the long walks, the quiet mornings, the stillness at night. What used to feel like loneliness transforms into a sacred kind of peace. You realize that the people who come into your life are no longer there to complete you. They're there to complement you. You're already whole. For those healing alone, solitude also becomes a mirror. It reflects everything you've been avoiding. The fears, insecurities, regrets, and suppressed emotions. It's not always pleasant. Some days solitude feels heavy, like an ocean pressing down on your chest. But that's where the real work happens. In those moments of discomfort, they face the shadows they once tried to hide. They learn to comfort themselves instead of seeking someone else to do it. They whisper strength into their own soul and discover that self-compassion can be just as powerful as love from another. Over time, solitude sharpens their awareness. When you spend time alone, you begin to observe everything differently. The way people treat you, the way you think, the way you react to life. You start recognizing energy. Who drains you? Who uplifts you? And what situations no longer serve you? You stop tolerating what disturbs your peace. You stop chasing connections that feel forced. You learn that not everyone deserves access to you. And you become selective, not because you're arrogant, but because you've learned the value of your own presence. That's one of the quiet superpowers of those who heal alone. They protect their peace like a warrior protects their fire. Solitude teaches discipline too. It builds emotional muscles that can't be gained through comfort. When you face your demons alone, you learn how to stay calm under pressure, how to think clearly when everything falls apart, and how to rebuild without anyone holding your hand. You become emotionally self-sufficient. You learn that happiness is not something someone gives you, it's something you create through your mindset, your habits, and your purpose. The more time you spend in solitude, the less you fear being alone. Because you've already walked through the quiet, and instead of breaking you, it has built you. In the end, solitude transforms into strength. The person who once sat in silence just to survive begins to thrive in it. Their thoughts become clear, their vision sharp, and their spirit unshakable. They don't need the world to validate their worth. They carry it within them. They've learned that true healing doesn't happen in the crowd, it happens in the stillness. When it's just you, your pain, and your decision to rise. Solitude didn't make them lonely, it made them powerful. Powerful enough to face anything with peace in their mind and fire in their heart. Those who heal themselves alone develop something rare, a kind of emotional control that doesn't come from suppression but from deep understanding. They've been through enough chaos to know that reacting out of emotion often leads to more pain. They've felt the sting of anger, the heaviness of disappointment, the confusion of betrayal. And over time they learn that they can't control what happens around them, but they can always control how they respond. This realization becomes their foundation. Their strength isn't loud, it's silent. Their power isn't in shouting, it's in remaining calm when others would crumble. They've learned that true mastery over life begins with mastery over the self. When you face enough storms, you begin to recognize patterns, emotional traps, impulsive reactions, and toxic cycles that keep repeating. The people who heal alone stop being prisoners of their emotions. They start becoming observers of them. When anger arises, they don't let it consume them. They pause, breathe, and ask themselves, what's really beneath it? Is it hurt, fear, disappointment? That self-inquiry turns emotion into wisdom. It's not that they no longer feel pain. They feel it deeply, but they've trained themselves to remain centered through it. Their calmness doesn't mean they're unaffected. It means they've learned how to carry fire in their hands without being burned. Emotional control doesn't come from avoiding emotions. It comes from facing them so many times that they lose their power to control you. People who heal alone have cried enough, broken enough, and survived enough to understand that every emotion is temporary. They know that no feeling lasts forever, and that realization gives them strength. When others panic, they remain patient. When others lash out, they stay grounded. That emotional stillness becomes their weapon. It's not coldness, it's clarity. It's the kind of calm that only comes after surviving storms that once tore you apart. This emotional discipline also changes the way they handle relationships. They stop arguing to prove a point. They stop trying to be understood by people committed to misunderstanding them. They choose peace over proving themselves. Their silence during conflict isn't weakness, it's maturity. They've learned that not every battle deserves a warrior, and not every situation deserves a reaction. This shift in energy saves them from unnecessary chaos and keeps their spirit intact. They respond from wisdom, not wounds. As they grow, they begin to understand the subtle difference between control and suppression. They don't bury their emotions or pretend they don't exist. They simply refuse to be ruled by them. They can feel anger without becoming destructive, sadness without becoming helpless, and love without losing themselves. That's emotional freedom. The ability to feel everything but be owned by nothing is one of the greatest strengths a person can develop. It's what makes their presence so powerful. Calm, centered, and grounded even when the world shakes. Those who master this level of control also become deeply compassionate. Having faced their own darkness, they don't judge others for theirs. They understand their emotional chaos is part of being human, so they move through life with empathy instead of resentment. They can listen without reacting, comfort without losing balance, and forgive without forgetting. Their emotional intelligence becomes their quiet influence. It draws people in, not through words, but through energy. You can feel their steadiness, their peace, their discipline. Emotional control also gives them focus. When emotions no longer dominate your thoughts, your mind becomes clear. You stop wasting energy on things that don't matter. You start making choices that align with your values instead of your impulses. The people who heal alone begin to channel their emotions into creation. Building, writing, training, growing, pain becomes fuel. Discipline becomes habit. Clarity becomes their compass. They no longer chase temporary satisfaction. They pursue long-term peace. In the end, their calmness becomes their strength. They no longer need to prove how strong they are. They simply are. Their emotional control gives them a kind of unshakable confidence, the quiet certainty that no matter what happens, they can handle it. They've already walked through emotional storms alone and survived. Now, nothing external can disturb their inner balance. Their peace has become sacred, and they guard it with intention. That is the psychology of those who heal alone. They don't seek control over the world, they master control over themselves, and that makes them untouchable. As people heal themselves alone, something profound begins to shift within them. They start guarding their energy like it's sacred, because after being broken, drained, and disappointed too many times, they finally understand that peace is not something you stumble upon, it's something you protect with fierce devotion. They learn that not everyone deserves access to them, not every situation deserves their attention, and not every emotion deserves a reaction. This realization is born from pain, the kind that teaches through experience. Once you've had your energy stolen by people who only took and never gave, you begin to value peace more than company, silence more than noise, and distance more than drama. People who heal alone know what it's like to give their all to those who didn't appreciate it. They felt the exhaustion of constantly being there for others and having no one stand by them when they needed support. That's why they begin to draw boundaries, not out of bitterness, but out of wisdom. They realize that saying no is an act of self-respect, not selfishness. They no longer tolerate chaos disguised as love or manipulation disguised as care. They choose peace, even if it means walking away. The strength to walk away is one of the most powerful forms of healing. It's not about hating anyone. It's about loving yourself enough to stop allowing things that hurt your soul. When you start protecting your energy, you stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop chasing conversations that go in circles, and you stop justifying your worth to those who can't see it. The people who heal alone understand that energy flows where attention goes, and they become intentional about where they place that attention. They stop feeding negativity. They stop participating in unnecessary arguments. They no longer let every emotion demand a response or every person demand their time. This level of emotional discipline is what makes them unshakable. They move differently, calmly, quietly, with purpose. They also learn the beauty of letting go. When you heal alone, you begin to see that not everything or everyone is meant to stay. Some people are lessons, some situations are teachers, and some endings are protection in disguise. The more you heal, the more you realize that holding on to what drains you is a form of self-destruction. So they start releasing old habits, toxic attachments, and unnecessary battles. Letting go doesn't make them cold. It makes them clear. They no longer cling to what doesn't align with their peace. They trust the process, even when it's painful, because they've learned that everything that leaves makes space for something better to grow. Protecting their energy also changes the way they approach relationships. They no longer chase people or force connections. They attract what resonates with their peace. They surround themselves with those who add to their energy, not take from it. They start appreciating genuine souls, the ones who bring calmness instead of chaos, clarity instead of confusion, and honesty instead of games. The people who heal alone understand that love should feel like freedom, not fear. They no longer mistake intensity for connection. They want stability, authenticity, and effort, not emotional turbulence disguised as passion. This protection of energy also extends inward. They become mindful of their thoughts, habits, and environment. They understand that what you consume, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, shapes how you feel. So they begin to feed their soul the right things: solitude, discipline, nature, gratitude, and purpose. They limit negativity, whether it comes from people, media, or their own self-talk. They've learned that healing isn't just about removing what hurts, it's also about nurturing what helps. They invest their time in growth, in peace, in becoming someone they're proud to live with. With time, they stop feeling guilty for choosing themselves. Society often romanticizes self-sacrifice, but those who heal alone know that you can't pour from an empty cup. They've tried giving when they had nothing left and it nearly destroyed them. Now they give from a place of strength, not obligation. They know that protecting their energy doesn't mean they've built walls, it means they've built gates, and only those with pure intentions are welcome through them. In the end, protecting your energy becomes more than just a boundary. It becomes a lifestyle. You begin to honor your own peace the way you once honored other people's comfort. You choose silence over arguments, stillness over chaos, solitude over fake connections. And as you do, you realize something beautiful. Peace isn't found in a perfect life. It's found in a protected one. Those who heal alone understand that when you guard your energy, you guard your destiny, because only in peace can you truly grow into the person you were meant to become. When people heal themselves alone, they eventually reach the most powerful phase of their transformation. They begin to live with purpose. After walking through pain, surviving heartbreak, and sitting with their own darkness, they realize that life isn't just about enduring suffering. It's about rising from it with meaning. They've already seen how fragile everything can be, how quickly things can change, and how easily people can disappear. That awareness gives them a new sense of clarity. They stop wasting energy on things that don't matter and start investing it in what truly does. Every scar, every lesson, every lonely night becomes fuel for something greater. They understand that if they've survived everything that meant to break them, then they're alive for a reason. And that reason must be lived, not wasted. Purpose becomes their anchor. They stop chasing temporary highs and start seeking fulfillment. The chaos that once drowned them now pushes them forward. They use their pain as a map to navigate towards something meaningful. Maybe it's creating. Maybe it's helping others. Maybe it's simply becoming a better version of themselves. But whatever it is, it gives their days direction and their nights peace. They wake up no longer asking, why did this happen to me? But instead, what can I build from this? That shift turns them from victims into creators. They stop living by default and start living by design. When you've healed yourself, you no longer crave a perfect life. You crave a real one. You start appreciating small victories, a quiet morning, a clear mind, a genuine conversation. You stop measuring success by how much you have and start measuring it by how peaceful you feel. Purpose gives you perspective. You realize that happiness isn't in the future, it's in how you show up for the present. The people who heal alone live intentionally. They make choices that align with who they've become, not who they used to be. Every step they take is deliberate, every decision carries weight. They've learned the value of time and no longer spend it carelessly. They also begin to inspire others without even trying. When someone has walked through their own fire and come out calm, others can feel it. Their presence radiates strength. Their silence carries wisdom. Their words, when they choose to speak, come from experience, not ego. People who heal alone don't preach. They live their truth quietly, and that truth becomes their message. Their story becomes living proof that no matter how broken you've been, you can rebuild yourself. They become light for those still lost in their own darkness. And that's the beauty of purpose. It not only transforms your life, it ripples into the lives of others. Purpose also teaches gratitude. After losing so much, they begin to appreciate what remains. They don't take peace for granted anymore. They don't rush through life chasing what they don't have. They've learned that every moment, even the simple, quiet ones, is a gift. Gratitude replaces bitterness. Hope replaces fear. They stop being haunted by the past and start being humbled by the present. This gratitude fuels their purpose even more, reminding them that life is not a burden to endure, but an opportunity to honor. They also develop resilience in their pursuit. When you've healed alone, failure doesn't scare you anymore. You've already been to the bottom and found strength there. So setbacks become lessons, not defeats. Rejections become redirections. Challenges become training. They move through life with an inner confidence that no external validation can touch. Purpose gives them direction, but healing gives them endurance. And together they create unstoppable momentum. They live with a quiet fire that doesn't need to be seen to be felt. And as they continue walking their path, they find peace in knowing that life isn't about being perfect or always happy. It's about being aligned. They no longer chase external validation, relationships, or achievements to fill a void. They fill that void with meaning. Their purpose becomes their identity. Not what they do, but who they are. They carry it in how they think, how they love, how they handle pain, and how they rise after every fall. In the end, living with purpose after healing isn't about having all the answers. It's about having a reason to keep going. It's about turning wounds into wisdom, scars into stories, and pain into power. It's about looking back at everything that once broke you and realizing it was preparing you. People who heal themselves alone don't just survive, they evolve. They walk through life with gratitude in their heart, fire in their soul, and a quiet knowing that they were never meant to be destroyed, they were meant to be reborn.